This is Dark Illumination Report Podcast Episode 13.
The views expressed on this podcast are the views of the podcast host only. The host neither represents or endorses any specific satanic organization or tradition. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, and please tell a friend. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at RJWO15. If you have questions or comments, you can leave us a message at speakpipe.com/DIR podcast. That's speakpipe.com/DIR podcast.
This is the Dark Illumination Report podcast with RJ Womack.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the podcast. I'm going to be answering a question today that I get asked quite often, and that is whether I think Satanism is a form of paganism. And while I can't speak for everyone, at least in my opinion, it is paganism. It is a form of paganism. And the reason is because I believe any religion that is non-Christian is paganism, first of all. Second of all, I'm a polytheist, not a monotheist. I observe the solstices and equinoxes, and I observe Samhain. So I guess that makes me a pagan. In addition to that, I would say that I also regard Satan as a god of nature and a god of balance, a god of natural law, a god of the spirit and of the carnal. So I see a lot of Pan in him, a lot of Dionysus in him. So I most certainly consider my own particular practices or my own particular approach to be paganism. While my personal practices focus primarily on Satan, I do regard the other demons as gods in their own right, worthy of respect and reverence. And as such, I really, I practice a devotional form of Satanism. All my ritual work is based on the idea of trying to connect with them or trying to build a relationship with them in some way. When I got into Satanism, I didn't get into Satanism to be a magician. I got into Satanism to be a Satanist. What fascinated me about Satanism was Satan and the demons, not magic, not the idea of casting spells or trying to curse people or trying to cast love spells or anything like that. I was fascinated with the demonic realm and the demons themselves. And I wanted to worship them. So all of my practices, for the most part, focus on devotional activities. I think that's what makes my approach to Satanism different than so many. So many Satanists today are so focused on ego and on self. They don't care about devotional practices. They don't care about connecting with the spirits. All they care about is promoting their own interest at all times. And that is something that's a carryover from atheism. I was never interested in that when I started this. My interest was about being around people who actually worshiped Satan and who made Satan the central focus of their life and who were raising their kids to be Satanist and who believed that the enemy of Satan was the Christian God, the Abrahamic religious traditions, and that our job was to try to lessen their influence on the world because the Abrahamic religious traditions are a virus. And I believe one of the jobs of Satanists is to limit the influence of the Abrahamic religious traditions and the God of the Abrahamic religious traditions. Now, I know many Satanists don't believe in the Judeo-Christian God, but I do. I believe he's a parasite. I believe he's an evil, vindictive, hateful entity who seeks to enslave mankind. And I believe that our job is to lessen the influence of his followers and thereby lessen his influence on the world. And those are the type of people that I want to be around. And those are the type of people that I want to work with. And unfortunately, all Satanism has become is meaningless self-worship. And that's not what I'm about. I'm a religious devil worshiper. I'm unapologetic about it. And that's what fascinates me. And I consider pagan religions to be religions that espouse, the same ideas that I believe in Satanism. So I consider pagan religions to be religions of the same spirit, of the same essence as Satanism. I don't see myself as an enemy of pagan religions. I don't see myself as separate from pagan religions. I see pagan religions and pagans as people who share a very similar viewpoint to my own, with very similar, ideas and very similar goals. I don't think any of us really like the influence of Christianity, and I don't think any of us feel free as long as Christianity holds a major influence on the world. Because just like Satanists, pagans are persecuted by Christians too.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's RJWOMACK.